Bright Cutie. Every student matters.
Hello everyone. Let's start our new topic for chapter number 1, that is the rise of nationalism in Europe. So our new topic here is Giuseppe Mazzini, the soul. Now students, before this we were learning about the unification of Italy. Now in unification of Italy, we learned some important points about the political fragmentation that was there in Italy and how it was divided into 7 kingdoms or states. And also there were 3 important personalities who played an important role in the unification of Italy. And one of them was Giuseppe Mazzini, who was considered as the soul of Italian unification. Now let us try to understand that why was he called the soul of Italian unification. So he was considered as the soul of nationalism or the unification in the process of unification of Italy. This is the image of Giuseppe Mazzini. Now Mazzini was born in Genoa. Here you have to remember the timeline for Mazzini, that is 1807 to 72. He was a staunch patriot. Yes students, since a very early age, Mazzini devoted himself in this process of unifying or fighting for his state or country, that is Italy. Now country won't be appropriate, nation term is appropriate here. So he was a staunch patriot. Now he had this feeling of love and sacrifice for his nation. Now that is all about nationalism, right? We already have learned this concept in our first topic. As I told you that at very early age, he decided to fight for his nation and therefore he became the member of the secret society that was Carbonari. Now if I ask you, do you remember this term Carbonari? Yes, you can definitely answer that Carbonari was a secret society that was started by the charcoal burners, as the name suggests. Right. So he became the member of this secret society. Apart from this, in the year 1831, when the revolution was suppressed by these revolutionaries, he was sent to exile for attempting a revolution in Liguria. Now what does this term exile mean here? So exile, it means to throw away a person from his own nation, right? Because he had attempted a revolution in this particular place called as Liguria. So he was thrown out from his own nation, right? That is Italy. Now, when he came back, he introduced or started 2 underground movements. Now students, why are we talking about the underground movements here? Because many secret societies were formed from the year 1815 or 1830s, let's say. Again, we have learnt about it earlier. So the 2 underground movements that were started by Giuseppe Mazzini, it was Young Italy and Young Europe. Now why was he starting these underground movements? Because they wanted to challenge the established government. They wanted to end their rule and they wanted to unify Italy into a nation state. And therefore, he believed that the Italians youth, they could fight for their own nation. And what was required for that? Self-sacrifice. So as you can see here, this is a depiction or illustration of the people belonging to this secret society called Young Italy, as they were being arrested and taken by the police here. Now Young Italy was formed for greater unity and to fight for independence. By 1833, there were 60,000 supporters with local communities. Now, what do we see here? We see that Mazzini was gathering a large supporter base in Italy. So when he started his underground movement, more and more people, they started joining his movement. They started understanding what Mazzini was trying to spread, that how they should gain independence and they should fight for their nation. And like I told you, he believed and stressed on this idea of self-sacrifice, that a person had to sacrifice in order to gain freedom or independence. The same thing that we find in the revolutionaries of our country, when our country was fighting for freedom, right, from the British. So here as well, they were fighting from the established government. His sole motto was God and the people. Now, what did Mazzini believe? He believed that God intended that nation was the natural part of mankind, and he said that Italy should not be a patchwork of different states or these small states that it was divided into. It should be a nation instead, right? Therefore, his motto was God and the people. Now here you can see how these revolutionaries, they are participating in this process of unification for Italy. Now in the year 1848, revolutions were taking place all over the Europe. Yes, students. Now this is not a new thing for you. We have already talked about the revolts of 1848. So in the regions of France, in the regions of Germany, Italy, and so on. Every state here, they were fighting for the independence, for freedom. And likewise, in Italy also, we see that these secret societies, they were challenging the established government. Now, the rulers of Italian states, they were forced to grant constitutional reforms. Now, this was one of the demands for middle class. So, the rulers of these Italian states, they were also forced to grant some of the constitutional changes. Mazzini succeeded in establishing republic at Rome. So, somehow he succeeded in establishing republic here. Apart from that, King Charles Albert. Now, who was this King Charles Albert? So, he was the ruler of Sardinia and Piedmont. Now, we already have learned that one of these states was Sardinia, Piedmont, right? When we are talking about Italy here. So, he was fighting to liberate Italy, but he was defeated in the Battle of Custoza and abdicated the throne eventually. So, he had to formally renounce from his throne. He was no longer the ruler or the king of Sardinia, Piedmont. King Victor Emmanuel II, he made peace with Austria. So, after that, there was this king, that is Victor Emmanuel, who was given the charge here, and he somehow made peace with Austria, one of the enemies, right, of Italy. Apart from this, Mazzini, he went into exile in Britain. Now, after this revolution, Mazzini was sent into exile again in Britain, but there he did not stop. He somehow secretly was fighting for the independence of Italy. Now, coming to the exercise section here, in very short answer questions, you'll find one question that says, who founded the secret society called Young Italy? Yes, students, quite familiar name here, Giuseppe Mazzini. Now, you already have learnt about Giuseppe Mazzini a lot in this topic. So, you cannot forget the name that Mazzini, was considered as the soul, and also he founded the secret society that was known as Young Italy. Now in short answer questions, you will find a question that says, who was considered as the soul of Italian unification and why? Now this is a repetitive question here, right? So you already know that who was considered as the soul, but do you know why was he considered as the soul? So here are few points that you can mention. So from the beginning, he was a staunch patriot and was totally devoted to a united Italy, right? His main motto was to unite Italy and gain independence for his nation. He established a secret society known as Young Italy, and he also gave up everything for country's liberation. So there are some few points that you can mention in this question. Now this is a short answer questions, so you need not write a long passage on it. You have to answer it precisely here and also in a concise manner. In long answer questions, there is a question that says, state the ideas of Mazzini which led to the rise of nationalism in Italy. Now these are some few pointers that you need to mention, that what were the ideas of Mazzini and how did it help to gain independence here. He became the member of Carbonari at a very young age. We already have learned that. Second point is, he founded two underground societies named Young Italy and Young Europe. He also believed that young men of Italy could easily achieve freedom for their motherland, and he emphasized on the idea of self-sacrifice that I already have talked about. His motto was God and the people, and his method was educating the public through literary propaganda and agitations. Now these are some of the points that you must mention in this question. Why? Because this is a long answer question and you have to write a detailed answer. Now these were some of the ideas of Mazzini that led to the rise of nationalism in Italy, and eventually this process of unification in Italy was completed. Thank you.